welcome to today's JS Report. I'm Information Officer Nita Termal, and today we're talking about the passenger transport operator training offered by the H. Live Tisdale Community College. Today I'm here with Director for the Taxi and Livery Commission, Mr. Damian Percival, and Coordinator for the program, Mrs. Dana Lewis Ambrose. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, Mr. Percival, tell us about the training and why it was launched.
Well, this training was the brainstorm of myself and some members of the HLS Community College. We would normally engage them in the past and have some of their instructors come to do the trainings for us at the commission. So we then decided, why not just approach the college and ask them to put together a whole training program, to help develop all the taxi drivers where we feel they should be developed.
So why is the program important to taxi drivers?
If you look at some of the modules in the program, you'll see normally in the past the taxi drivers were given a lot of training in just customer service. But we've decided to touch on a lot of other aspects that we feel the taxi professionals need in order to become true professionals in the industry, like business management and true historical training by the historians we have at the college.
So as you mentioned, this isn't the first of its kind. So what makes this program different from the other trainings that were offered before?
This one is more structured. It's set in the college setting, so more like a classroom setting. It's covered in a specific timeline, and we feel once this has become what we'll use in the future as the model, that we can then sell our operators as not only true professionals, but a higher standard of professional to conduct this form of business.
And like the other trainings, is this program offered to all of the taxi drivers, including the taxi drivers on the sister islands?
Yes, it will be. In this first instance, it will be offered to all current operators. And what we're looking at is once this is successful, we will be able to then make it mandatory for all new persons coming into the industry that they have to go through this course.
So Mrs. Ambrose, as a coordinator, can you tell us a bit about the training? What will be taught during the program?
Okay, so as Mr. Percival said, this is a holistic approach that we're taking. And so we've looked at what are the skill sets that we would want the average transport operator to have, so that when they are out there that they are giving up their best. And so Mr. Percival would have mentioned business management. In particular, we're pleased that we were able to add that component, as we recognize that taxi operators, or transport operators for that matter, are small business owners in their own right. And so we want to ensure that they have those skill sets. Of course, we will have Virgin Islands history, which we deem as an important integral part of what they actually do and what information they would need to impart or pass on to their passengers from time to time. But we've also added things like foreign language basics. We've also added health and safety, which we are particularly pleased about, because we will be able to take them through things such as first aid, CPR, things that we think that a taxi driver or a transport operator should have, those skill sets, so that if an emergency happens, they can be the first ones to respond, and obviously then call the requisite professionals in to ensure that persons are taken care of. We've also been able to add defensive driving, and we're also looking at having other important integral parts, such as effective business communications, and obviously we will be taking them through the laws and regulations, and in particular we know that there have been some recent regulations that have been passed, and so we have a very good instructor who will be imparting that knowledge and passing it on to them.
All good stuff. So it's really a comprehensive program.
Yes.
What will they receive at the end of the training?
They will receive a certificate of completion, but we've taken this up a notch. Normally we would give them a certificate which they can put on their wall, but this time around they will actually be receiving ID cards which will indicate that they are trained and qualified as as passenger transport operators, because that's the new term we're trying to bring in and make everyone fall under that particular classification.
So, Mr. Percival, along with the ID, will the taxi drivers be receiving any other benefits from the commission itself, along with the ID?
Well, normally we've been working on a program with the Tourist Board where we will identify persons who excel in the industry and reward them however the Tourist Board can. We'll also have them identified through different means. We will try to provide them with not only local exposure but also international exposure when we go to some of the conferences we attend, so that they can get opportunities to sell themselves to the bigger market and not just remain local. So those are some of the things we're looking at to come out of this program.
Will this program soon become mandatory for all taxi drivers to take?
Once this first instance is successful, it will become mandatory.
So what steps are the Taxi and Livery Commission taking to ensure that all taxi drivers are equipped with this knowledge moving forward?
Part of the Taxi and Livery Commission's responsibility is to make sure that all drivers are adequately trained. Not just trained in, I guess, the customer service or to give tours, but also in safety and personal development. So we have a mandate by law which says that we have to conduct specific trainings, and if we see it fit, make it mandatory to better the actual industry. Right? So those are some of the parameters we're going to look at to make this the right training module moving forward.
So more about the program, Mrs. Ambrose. Can you tell us when does it begin?
Okay, the program begins on the 19th of June, and it will be taught 3 days a week. We have selected times which we believe that the taxi drivers will be available. So on Mondays and Wednesdays, the classes are from 5:30 to 8:30, and then on Friday mornings, the class is from 9:30 to 12.
And when is registration and deadline and the cost?
Okay, so the registration deadline is the 15th of June, and we have this training priced very economically at $150, and they're receiving at least 11 short courses all combined into one program. So $150 for 11 short courses, in my view, is a good price.
Awesome. So thank you so much for joining us, Mrs. Ambrose and Mr. Percival. Now let's hear more from some of the instructors. I'm now joined by some of the instructors. I'll let them introduce themselves.
My name is Romeo Cameron from Quality Taxi Association.
I'm Keith Smith, president of Rotongue Taxi Stand.
And we're also joined again by Mr. Percival. So Mr. Percival, why did you think that these two gentlemen were the best fit for teaching some of the courses in the program?
Well, the main course that we have them teaching is basic tour guide instruction, right? And I chose these two characters because I wanted to show the difference in age groups, right? Basically to show the generational differences, where we can have younger persons have a career in the industry, and we can have a more senior person who has been in the industry can speak to anybody coming into the industry on the importance of training and give them tips and guidelines as to how to conduct tours and be successful at it.
So Mr. Smith and Mr. Cameron, as taxi drivers, do you think that this training is beneficial to the professional development of other taxi drivers?
Very much so. Training is a must. Whatever you do along life's line, in whatever field you choose, you should be trained to conduct the job. You need to know your product. You need to be able to sell it. And you need to be able at the end of the day to make a good living.
So, Mr. Smith, have you participated in any other training, and how has it helped you in your business?
Yeah, multiple trainings. I mean, we've been fortunate enough to have a government that has made a special effort to make sure that we have this kind of training available to us. We've had the academy training, which was about a year and a half ago, and that was pretty successful. That was put on by Taxi and Levy Commission under the heading of Damien. We also had that Quila training. That was more or less a voluntary training, which was quite impressive for me because I actually saw a lot of my colleagues take advantage of that training to give them worldwide certification in terms of being a tour guide and stuff like that. And there was a whole lot of other trainings put on by the Disney training. We had that. We had a whole bunch of other trainings by the tourist board and all of that stuff. And as my colleague pointed out, training is vital right now because the industry has gone to a different level when it has become more of a business. So with the training, especially with the new drivers coming in, with the training, it kind of gives you the kind of exposure and sets you up and makes you prepared for different things that comes within the industry. And also it's all about becoming one of the favored destinations in terms of customer service, in terms of how we relate to our passengers, conflict resolution and all of that stuff. And with this particular training we about to embark to now that's coming up, it has such a wide range of different courses that is beneficial to all of us. Once again, especially to the new and upcoming taxi drivers that's just come into the industry.
So you talked, you gave us some of the benefits. What other advice can you give to new taxi drivers wanting to get into this field of work?
Preparation. And preparation again comes through training. Because with the training, after you've been trained and you're prepared, the whole job comes a lot easier because you're able to deal with things that are more or less unexpected, because that's what the industry is highly unpredictable. So with the training, you're able to cope with different things as they come to you. So the training is vital, and it just makes you a better taxi professional, a better tour guide, and all of that stuff. So the training is vital, I would imagine.
I also recommend that if you become involved in the taxi business, first you should love what you do. If you love the product, you'll be able to sell it, you'll be able to handle it.
Yes.
And along the way, after doing a professional job at any time when you leave the dock or wherever you leave, it's not just for fare. It's not just if we leave here today to go to King Garden Bay, the fare is $8 a person. If you're trained as a professional taxi driver, you'll be thinking about the service that you will render to your clients. That when you get to King Garden Bay or when you bring them back from King Garden Bay, they'll reward you extra.
Thank you, gentlemen, for sharing the wonderful advice. For more information about the program, you can call the Taxi and Livery Commission at 468-4090 or the Age Liberty Stout Community College at 852-7191 or email vfp@agelscc.edu.bg. I am Information Officer Nita Turnbull reporting for the Ministry of Communications and Works.